Welcome to Name That Car! Behind door number 1, a capacitive touchscreen that says user-friendly as a colorless Rubik's Cube. Behind door number 2, an exterior design that looks like it was chiseled out of compromise. Behind door number 3, build quality on par with a motion sensor toilet that never detects you until after you've already flushed it manually. It's a crossover that goes above and beyond luxury directly into the desolate subcutaneous folds of mediocrity. For $116 million! Name that car! Well, it has a turn signal, so it can't be a BMW, and the turn signal is an amber, so it can't be a Lexus. 10 seconds. It looks like an Escalade for a realtor, but not the kind that actually makes money. Lincoln Nautilus Reserve? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's actually a 2015 Cadillac SRX. Now, we're going to set this $116 million on fire, but first, a word from our sponsor.
Today's episode of Regular Car Reviews is sponsored by Factor. Thank you, Factor, for sticking with regular car reviews all these years.
I open it with a really big knife. I perforated it more than you need to.
Factor are fresh, never frozen meals. Ready in 2 minutes. You can put them in for 2 minutes. I put them in for 3.
I want to taste that sizzle.
Factor has everything you need to meet your nutritional goals. Plus, they're delicious. Plus, they teach you correct calorie proportioning. They even have meals that are called Calorie Smart. They also have meals that are keto friendly, vegetarian, vegan, protein plus. I get that a lot. In fact, that's what's cooking right now. Bacon shredded chicken. No, shredded chicken with real bacon, mushrooms, and broccoli. Plus, they have cold pressed juice. Apple, kale, wheatgrass. Stop drinking soda. Soda makes you fat. Drink some stuff that's good for you. Trust me, you'll feel fantastic. Oh, they're almost done. You can eat them out of the package they come with. I like to plate them because I'm fancy. Oh yeah, tell me that doesn't look good. Oh, hot. Oh, so good you'll do the breathing in and out thing like you did in the school with really good pizza that's too hot to eat right away. Anyway, head to factor75.com and use code 50regular. That gets 50% off your first box and free shipping. How cool is that? Thank you, Factor, for sticking with regular car reviews all these years. And thank you for making microwavable food that doesn't taste like cardboard. It tastes like a real meal, because it is a real meal. Imagine eating this at work, not have to like scarf down the like kibble or stuff like that, or going out at, we're in Pennsylvania, as much as we love that 2-syllable word for the greatest gas station convenience store in the world, you really shouldn't be eating that every day, because that's fast food. Fast food is really bad for you. So good. Factor keeps you on track to meet your fitness goals and your health goals. And when you're having one of the meals, it doesn't feel like you're compromising at all. I'm sorry, this ad is going long and we got to get back to Nick. Once again, go to factor75.com and use my code 50regular. That gets you 50% off your first box and free shipping. Check it out. Okay, back to Nick.
Let's review a Cadillac SRX. It's summer in the suburbs. 2015 Cadillac SRX. A luxury crossover with all the spice of catered potato salad. Another month, another installment of Race to the Bottom, where I search like a madman for a car so bad not even I could enjoy it. And after last month's Lincoln Nautilus Reserve, I find myself back in the luxury car trenches with... what even is this really? It looks nice enough, I guess, but not in an organic way. This style is the automotive equivalent of seeing your teacher out in the wild. They're in their normal clothes, maybe they're with their spouse, and it just looks wrong. Like they're wearing the costume of relatability when they should be back at the school. You know, where they live. The accessible luxury vibe here feels like a Hail Mary to the infancy of flex culture. Yet it doesn't want that appeal to come at the cost of a fan base who remembers when Cadillac meant something, you know? If I had to sum up the SRX in 2 words, it would be badge bait. The only reason anybody cared about this is because it was a Cadillac, an attainable Cadillac, an entry-level luxury crossover for Nissan Rogue agnostics, and people with enough money to skip Black Friday doorbusters, but not so much money that they've never contributed to a school bake sale. If you slapped a Chevrolet emblem on here, would this have even gotten a second look from the people who ended up buying it? Because even with the Cadillac badge, the SRX is probably the most prolific car you never noticed. For a time, these were popping out like posthumous Tupac albums, and the only rationale I can find for it is that people were drawn in by the allure of a Cadillac within price range. That's more or less why our volunteer Josh bought it. He wanted something newer and more comfortable than his '99 Jetta or 2011 Explorer. But with a budget around $10,000, he and his wife had limited options in their immediate area for a family-sized vehicle with a reasonable degree of comfort, a stock navigation system, and all-wheel drive for those harsh Pennsylvania winters. Anything that fit the criteria would have come with a sizable monthly payment, and they weren't having that. But as they continued their search, the SRX kept coming up, and as Josh explained to me, despite being more of a Ford guy, the Cadillac name actually did carry some weight in his family, even if it was largely unearned. The Cadillac brand had been viewed as something out of reach for his family and therefore above them. So when he found one in his price range, it felt like an opportunity to right a generational wrong and get in on the ground floor of Cadillac ownership. And I do mean ground floor. If you told me this was a fake Cadillac, if it was something that somebody just slapped a Cadillac badge on that wasn't actually a Cadillac, I might have believed you. This isn't the luxury of a Lexus or even a Lincoln Nautilus. It's just an Equinox that has a private box at the horse races. But for Josh, it was also kind of a pragmatic purchase too, because he used to sell cars. And in his experience, he found that luxury trade-ins tended to be better maintained. And that appears to be the case here, and to his credit, Josh has done a great job keeping this in good shape. In fact, he takes such good care of it that I would wager his perception of Cadillac is all wrong. You are too good for this brand, my guy. It certainly looks nice on the inside, and it feels reasonably comfortable, and hey, there's room, and I don't feel boxed in by the dimensions, and it's got decent size. But other than those positives, I struggled to find anything worth getting excited about. For crying out loud, the Lincoln Nautilus at least had a turbo, but what does this get you? Well, while this could have a turbocharged engine, the turbo for the second gen was subject to a recall over the possibility of engine failure if you pushed it too hard on regular gas. So yeah, it's probably for the best that the engine in Josh's SRX is the 3.6-liter V6, making 308 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 6-speed automatic and delivering average fuel economy in the ballpark of 17 miles per gallon city, 24 miles per gallon highway, and 19 miles per gallon combined, although Josh gets somewhere between 20 to 22 on average. And this is without using eco mode, which Josh never uses anyway. And I get it, because I tried it for a bit and The car just has this rubber band feeling in eco mode. It just seems to pull a lot slower, even on the highway. Of course, this implies that it's detracting from an otherwise great driving experience. But it isn't. The V6 isn't the worst engine, but it does feel like it's bitten off more than it can chew. The handling can be decently responsive at times, but not enough to where it feels like you're driving something that evokes a luxury driving experience. And hey, I know, it's GM, but I still expected better engineering than this. Half the time it felt like I was playing a game of pick your struggle between the understeer on turns and the torque steer on highway acceleration. But okay, whatever, the drive is disappointing. What about the features? Well, I just want to reiterate real quick that I like these seats and I like the space. It feels very cozy in a rainy day corner cubicle sort of way. But the Cadillac Q system, ugh. Brother, ugh. It's short for Cadillac User Experience, although I'd have the C stand for something else, frankly, because this infotainment system and center stack are basically adapted from passages in Dante's Divine Comedy. Look, the streets say this thing is prone to bugs and malfunctions, but I don't really give a warm shit about any of that because I didn't notice any of those issues on my drive. No, what annoys me about this is 2 words. Capacitive touch. Is it recognizing any of my presses? Do I need to press in exactly the right spot? What is this, prom night? What's with the lag? Why do you want me to not know how to access anything? If I wanted to be buried in menus, I'd go to a fetish club where the kink is choice paralysis. Just give me buttons! Why do you want me to look instead of just watching the road? I appreciate that you think I'm a good enough driver to take my eyes off the road to go through your stupid menus to figure out how to work with the infotainment system. I'm happy that you have that faith in me, but frankly, it's misplaced. And you need to engineer... You need to engineer to account for that. But I'm thoroughly convinced capacitive touch is going to get me killed one of these days. But even ignoring how user-unfriendly the Q system is, this entire center console feels like it was designed by a committee of tech bros who just got back from a late lunch of parking lot whippets. Hey, me and some of the interns just formed a new band. We call it LinkedIn Park. Josh also told me that getting this thing to update maps is a pain, since it's not that kind of modern car where it just does it over the air. From what I've found, you basically need to buy an update disc or a drive from a Cadillac dealership or a GM navigation store, and then update it manually, which, I mean, at that point, I'm just using Waze. Navigation is already spotty enough with current maps. Nobody wants to be misled just because the nav system hasn't coded out Kevin Spacey Avenue and Skype Will Last Forever Boulevard. I understand buying this used 10 years later, but I'm genuinely puzzled by the appeal this had in 2015. Its best-selling year across its 2 generations. Yeah, it has a Cadillac badge, so what? You could have bought a used Lexus RX 350. You could have bought an Acura RDX. Go ahead, eat pussy with your eyes open, live a little. Hell, you want to buy American? The Buick Enclave will at least get you more room, from what I've read. Granted, it's still going to be pretentious, but luxury itself is pretentious. There's no way around it, because luxury doesn't try to earn your respect. It assumes it already has it. That's pretentious. But luxury can be pretentious because it's backed by enough money that outside opinions can never breach its walls. And yet, true luxury doesn't sacrifice attention to quality. Because affordability cuts both ways. A luxury brand will assume you can afford the consequences of their shortcomings, but they also recognize that to earn your dollar, they need to keep those shortcomings to a minimum. At least, I would hope they'd recognize that, because it's part of the social contract of a luxury car company. More money means better car, right? Except, not really. You can expect better reliability and better performance and greater comfort and more innovation, but that's not always going to be the case. Yet the expectations often remain, such that when a luxury car fails to deliver, it creates the sort of resentment that lands a company in enough hot water to make Earl Grey jealous. But then what kind of expectations should anybody realistically have for a Cadillac SRX? It drives the way it looks. It's an ostensibly premium experience, and yet I like my Camry better than this. I liked Brian's old Forester better than this. And let's get out of the mindset of apples to oranges, you know? I liked the Escalade more than this. Let's swing even wider. I like the Chrysler Town & Country better than this, because at least that knew what it was. But this car just got me angrier the more I drove it. It's a car that betrays the spirit of presence that Cadillac used to embody. Cadillac used to have aura. You could find a Cadillac in the dark. But the vibe here is focus group feedback. It feels like Cadillac in the same way modern Star Wars feels like Star Wars. And okay, you're trying to appeal to the largest possible market, and fair play, that's the point of commerce. But then, that approach kind of diminishes the brand value, yeah? I mean, there's a reason Nobu doesn't have a dollar menu. The SRX was Cadillac's first car-based crossover when it debuted for 2004, as a sort of Escalade for people whose idea of foreplay is more spitting. It was initially offered with a longitudinal engine, and it was well reviewed for a time by outlets such as Car and Driver, but it didn't really take off in earnest until the second generation in 2010. For context, in its first generation, sales only topped 30,000 units once, on its launch in 2004, but US sales for the second gen would not dip below 51,000 units until just prior to the model's discontinuation, and the 2013 refresh brought the aforementioned Q infotainment system and an exterior facelift that further boosted the SRX's profile, to where it would see increased global sales over the next 2 years. In fact, this model year, 2015, was the highest in the model's run, totaling 68,850 units in the United States, making it Cadillac's best-selling model domestically. And yet, while it was selling better than the previous generation, Cadillac enthusiasts apparently hated this car, and in researching why, I think it comes down to a few factors that all sort of run together. For one, while both model generations had an all-wheel drive option equipped, the layout for the first generation had been a rear-wheel drive car with a longitudinal engine. But now, the SRX was front-wheel drive with a transverse-mounted engine. And while front-wheel drive is not all that unexpected for a crossover, this decision was compounded by certain shortcomings. In addition to the aforementioned turbo engine recall, customers complained about how cramped the engine bay was, how it trapped heat and caused issues with the cooling system, how it was hard to do your own maintenance because the layout wasn't intuitive. And hey, I'm not mechanically inclined, so I'm just going to take Cadillac forum users at their word here. But the safety faults, the engine layout, the crummy infotainment system, these things were just symptoms of the actual problem that bothered Cadillac enthusiasts. Namely, the brand suddenly felt cheap. And this is represented by one of the annoyances Josh mentioned to me. You see, Josh let me know that one of the drawbacks of this car, at least for him, was the lack of amber rear turn signals. Now, please feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong here, but it's always been my understanding that the lack of ambers is a sign of cost cutting, and the lousy Q system was another sign, and the transverse mounted engine was strike 3, because transverse mounted engines were kind of a front-wheel drive economy car hallmark, rather than a standard of a luxury car brand. That was for your front-wheel drive Civics, for your Corollas and Sentras. To Cadillac purists, the layout was giving Malibu the car rather than Malibu the place. In 2015, people were paying luxury prices for economy architecture. Yet the irony is that while that lower-cost GM architecture is presumably what kept the SRX profitable, it's precisely what would get this car cancelled once the decision was made to go back to more performance-focused, rear-wheel drive offerings with more competitive luxury styling, which meant a complete overhaul, essentially throwing out the baby with the bathwater after the baby made them millions, and then pretending that, hey, I actually took a plan B that night, so that baby never existed. The XT5 would replace the SRX, which receded into the background to be reclaimed by the tide waters of automotive history, to where I'm not sure people even rate the SRX. And it all comes back to the hubris of legacy. The belief that you can cut corners because you're so well established, nobody's gonna call you on it. And if they do, the criticisms will be ignored by the loyal brand enthusiasts. And sure, it's comfortable enough for what it is, and luxurious enough to count as a Cadillac. But I hesitate to say this has unrealized potential because that presumes it was ever built to have potential that could be realized. It's a fancy amusement park hauler for people who don't realize an extended warranty claim is in their future. Could it be worse? Absolutely. But I struggle to recall ever driving a car that's technically fine, yet inspired this level of abject resentment from me. You know, maybe I'm projecting because I can't afford a Cadillac. And maybe all this discontentment is out of proportion to the reality of what the Cadillac SRX was, what it is, what it even could be under the best of circumstances. But honestly, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to get out of this, other than that it represents Cadillac's luxury identity entering its most precarious phase, mortgaging its aspirational heritage to chase a mainstream future. Alright, bottom 5. I didn't like this, but I still can't go lower than number 2 because the Chevy Cruze is still worse. The Dodge Journey is still worse. God help me, I want it out of the bottom spot out of pity, but I'm not gonna force it because the Nissan Sentra is still worse. And while the Prius was mechanically worse than this, I think I actually enjoyed driving the Prius more than I enjoyed driving this. So because the 2015 Cadillac SRX is going on the list, it means we say goodbye to the Chrysler Town & Country, which graduates from the bottom 5. Taking its place is the Toyota Prius, which is now in the number 1 spot, meaning it's the car I disliked the least out of the bottom 5, followed by number 2, the 2015 Cadillac SRX. The Chevy Cruze is number 3, while my brother's Dodge Journey stays at number 4. And still the leader in the race to the bottom is the 2015 Nissan Sentra SV. Man, what was it about the year 2015? Rough year for cars. Now, I know there's some confusion about the layout of the list, and I really do apologize. I just don't know how to fix it in a way that makes sense. In my mind, it's a race to the bottom, so the leader should be at the bottom of the list. So how do I fix this, guys? Should I just invert the numbers so that number 1 is the bottom of the bottom 5? Would that make more sense? Maybe just get rid of the top 5 altogether so there's no confusion? Drop your suggestions down below. And if you have a car so irredeemable not even I would like it and you're willing to drive to southeastern PA for filming, email me at regularcarstheroman@gmail.com. I've also uploaded some classic RCR shirt designs to our Fourth Wall store linked below, and for every order, I'll send you a personalized thank you video. But if you're looking for Kunkelman plate frames and key tags, they're over on our old Zazzle store, which is still up and it's linked in the description. Definitely go check that out. Like, comment, subscribe, tap the bell icon so you're notified for every new video. Share this with somebody you think would enjoy it, or support us on Patreon for $1 and help keep this show alive. $1 to unlock all the RCR content that you can take, including getting these videos early and uncensored, along with other exclusive things that you will never get here. Help RCR to become unstoppable. I'd like to thank Josh for being such a kind and knowledgeable volunteer. Give my best to your family. And thank you for watching. None of this happens without you. Till next time, friends. Join us now on our Patreon, it's a good thing to do. Or leave a like, comment, and subscribe, that would all help us too. 'Cause after reviewing Lincolns, this is a grim deja vu. Or maybe it's just that luxury isn't fun to review.